Okay, guys, we are back. Welcome to the Halftime Show, Episode 3. All right, Halftime Show, Episode 3. We're going to be talking about the SPY today. Okay, and of course, I am Coach UV, your trading mentor and coach, and this is the Unique Trading Group, where strategy meets mindset and discipline turns into income. All right, this video will be your update for the midway of the week. If you don't know, that is the purpose of the Halftime Show. All right, Wednesday. Half of the week, right? Keeping you updated on previous videos and price action on the SPY specifically, and or giving you the recap from what's happening and from my predictions on what's going to happen, okay? And so that's what we're going to focus on today. We're going to get you prepared for the rest of the week, the sentiment, what's going on in the market, and we're also going to recap some of the things that I previously mentioned in my other videos on what to expect, right? And see how they played out, right? Because you guys, you got to judge a person by the proof, the receipts, okay? Not just by blindly talking, all right? And so, appreciate you rocking with me. Thank you for clicking on this video. Let's get straight to it. I know what you came here for. Don't want to waste your time. All right, right in front of me, okay, we have the weekly chart of the SPY. Now, I want to let you know, before we dive into it, here is the videos I dropped last week, okay? Today is the 16th, Wednesday, right? Every Wednesday I drop the halftime show. We had a halftime show that I dropped last week, all right? As you can see here, it was episode 2 in the series that I'm starting with the market updates on a Wednesday throughout the week, middle of the week, all right? And then this halftime show, episode 2 from a week ago, this translated into a Monday Madness episode 2, which is another series that I'm doing, all right? Monday Madness. It's all right. Monday Madness gives you a recap of the market, more specifically SPY. I do a lot of talking about SPY, but a lot of my tactics and the way that I trade, the technical aspect, my style of trading applies to any market, to any chart. In a sense, SPY is more accessible to most people, whether it's ETF for shares or whether you're trying to day trade options. Okay? And so SPY is a tailored stock I like to go to, ETF. Rather, and ETF stands for Exchange Traded Funds. All right, and so the halftime show from last week, I gave guidance, right? That played out, and I had to recap it on the Monday Madness episode 2, and I gave some guidance on that video just a day or so ago. All right, and now today it's Wednesday, okay, for another halftime show, episode 3. Remember, this is episode 3 of the halftime show, Wednesday. All right, and we're going to recap. I gave some guidance, okay. Right here on the halftime show, I mentioned, and this is very important, on the halftime show episode 2, I mentioned that we needed to stay above 538. All right, 538 was going to be the line in the sand, and you don't see that number here, right? Because this is a previous markup in notes from the Monday Madness video, episode 2. Couple days ago, all right? But 538 was a number on the halftime show last week that I mentioned that if we breached that number and broke below it on the SPY, that I wanted to look for puts. Now, in that video, I specifically said tomorrow, watch for this to happen. I want to make a correction, and I want to do something that's going to make this channel better for understanding. Sometimes I'm so excited about my trades, and sometimes I'm so excited about what I see based on my edge that I say it could happen tomorrow. But let me be clear. These moves could play out within another week's range or another day or 2 or 3 day range. So your job as a trader, as my job as a trader, is to wait for my edge to play out. If I have a certain number or a certain setup I'm looking for, I want to wait for confirmation. I want to wait for price to come to those levels before I react. And this is a very, very important caveat for beginners who want to trade, who are thinking about just making money. If you want to make money day trading the market or even investing, you need to learn your levels, okay? Pivot points on where price is more likely to have a big move or not. It's all about risk to reward, and that's how you stay in the game. It's risk to reward when you're a beginner, immediate, or advanced. It never changes. That's how you stay in the game, keeping your losses small and your winners big, all right? Because if you flip a quarter 25 or 50 times a quarter, you got 2 options, heads or tails. Flipping that quarter 25 or 50 times, you don't know how many times it's going to land on heads or tails, but you do know that there's a high probability of it getting hit at least one time. All right, this is about high probability, okay? And that's exactly what we got. Now back to the chart. Wednesday, halftime show last week, I said 538. Now come Monday, all right, Monday is when we got the Monday Madness video. We actually breached that number. And I said on the Monday Madness episode 2 a couple of days ago that if we were to reject from that same number that we fell from, that I wanted to take put. So it actually took a whole couple of, like 3 or 4 days for price to react to my halftime show last week. And it took a week, all right, for the Monday Madness conjunction video with these two, because they work together. Understand that, all right? If you're following, you can recap and follow up on what price has done. And this Monday Madness gave you a clear vision on what could happen on today. And that's what we have playing out. So it took a whole week for that to play out. And where are we now? Well, Monday, all right, which was on the 14th, we had a close above 539, all right? And today, we opened up. Let's see where we opened up today on Wednesday. All right. Yesterday's close was 537.61. All right. 537.61. And today's open was 531.68. Okay. But we fell below. All right. We reached the high of 537 and we fell back below all the way to 520 so far. It is 2 minutes before the market opens. All right. Before the market closed. This is a little bit before the market closes on the 16th. And this is your halftime show. Halftime show episode 3. Episode 3 is what we are on right now. Okay. And so now, what do I see happening? I see the market rallying. Okay. We've already rallied up from 520. Okay. As you can see, today we've dropped a bit. All right. We've got into the numbers. All right. And so that's what we're going to be focused on going into tomorrow. We're going to be looking for some relief rallies. These relief rallies could be really, really hectic. All right. And since these numbers have hit, we have a volume point of control sitting at 515. All right. Could we see more continuation to the downside? All right. Since these numbers have been breached. All right. What I see happening is a relief rally to maybe retest these pivot points here, or maybe a rejection from here to create these lows to get from the volume point of control, which is at 515. 515 being a very, very significant number here on this chart. All right. And I'm going to show you why. We talked about the volume profile on the Monday Madness video. And here again on the halftime show episode 3. Here we go. All right. We got 1 minute until close. And it looks like we are rallying into the close. Okay. So tomorrow we're going to have some data. It's probably going to be some more earnings that we have to worry about. And so these things can affect market. Very normal for people to want to get out of their trades and take some profits before the market closes. Okay. Very, very normal. All right. And so that's what you're seeing at the end of the day. All right. All those numbers that I gave out, 533, 544, 520, 515, all these numbers that I've been giving out have been playing out to a T. Okay. Today was a bear flag measure move. I'm going to make the screen bigger for those who cannot see. All right. And I appreciate you guys staying and rocking with me throughout this video. Okay. Because it's going to be a valuable ride. Okay. And I appreciate you again sticking with me this whole time to get through the video. All right. This is again the halftime show, EP2, halftime show, episode 3. All right. Here we go. We have a bear flag measure move. Here's your first move. Here's the consolidation, and here's your move down. This was an easy setup today. All right. Bear flag measure move you have here. All right. First move down. This move right here mimics the first one. And you also have a baby head and shoulders here. All right. Here's your shoulder, here's your head, and here's your shoulder. All right. So these were 2 setups today you could have noticed to make some money on the SPY based on my guidance and based on market structure. We already knew that today would be a Jerome Powell influence. All right. And I mentioned to you guys in the previous video on Monday Madness episode 2 that sometimes traders, they want to get out of positions anticipating the information that comes out the previous day or the next day, the following day, which should be Jerome Powell stepping on a podium talking about interest rates and recession. All right. And so that's what you get today. You get an anticipation of this, people not want to get involved. All right. And right now, 4:02 p.m. on the 16th, all right, during this halftime show, episode 3, My prediction for tomorrow and of right now pre-market, all right? This is what I want to see, and we're going to end the video there. I wanted to make this quick and short. This is a halftime show. It doesn't supposed to take up the entire, your entire afternoon, right? But just to give you an update on what I expect, all right? So right now we have a V-shaped recovery. Volume point of control on the intraday time frame is at 525. Anything above 526.50, we will get an explosion to the upside to around 529.55 for a 3 to 4 risk to reward ratio. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. Now this could happen while we sleep and wake up tomorrow, and these things could happen. Right now we have some continuation upward here. All right, that's what we have on the intraday time frame. All right, looks to be we could have a head and shoulders pattern, but we could reject here and fall back to the 21, which is at 523. So write that down. All right, it could act as a resistance wall or a call trigger tomorrow. All right, so we've bounced from there before. We're gonna make this a green line. All right, 524, place a bounce. All right, we could retrace back here, or we could make new lows. But this looks like a lot of people took their profits from the puts, so we never know what we could get. But these are the levels to watch on the intraday time frame. Remember, above 26.50 here, take calls to the upside. That could happen after market, all right? So if that happens tomorrow when you wake up at 9:30 and we're already above these areas, all right, you are to invalidate that, of course, because we are already above. The next previous level, of course, is 535, and I would say 532, 531-ish will be another area to watch out for overhead resistance tomorrow, all right? So that's what we're gonna show you here. Okay, bear with me as I navigate the screen. I apologize. Really appreciate you guys staying with me the whole time, rocking with me as I explain and give you guys some details on the market. It's been a very interesting day, I would say. Today was a very interesting day. It was telling. I love trading. I love what it can do for you. All right, it teaches you discipline, teaches you about yourself, how patient you are, and a lot of things really matter. All right, now what I'm going to do before we end this, I'm going to give some macro guidance. All right, for the high time frame. All right, I'm going to go to the hour. Okay, we're going to go to the hour. All right, make the screen a little bit more visible. All right, here we go. Okay, what do we have here? All right, now below, remember these numbers, okay? Let's say tomorrow we get to a number of 522. All right, 522. We're gonna say 521, 521.70. All right, write that down on an hour time frame. All right, 121.70 on SPY. If we find our way back there either tonight or tomorrow, that's going to be a great place to maybe try some puts. And remember, if you take that put to the downside, which will be right here, all right here at 521, say 521.80. We'll say 521.80. If price somehow breaches from these levels, all right, let's take these off. All right. If price somehow breaches, let's put the volume profile back up there, all right? Remember, the volume profile is a future forward thinking indicator, okay? And we have a thin zone right here, okay? And so if we could break 520.32, 520.32, all right, anytime tomorrow or pre-market, wherever it happens at, it's going to be a spot where price rejects from, okay? And we can get a flush back to the downside to see 503. I am looking for 503 now. Today being Wednesday, right? Today being halftime show, episode 3. You never know what you could get, right? These moves could happen tomorrow, next week, Friday, Monday, all right? But Friday, remember, we do have the COT report, all right? And we do have more data coming out and more earnings, so be aware. All right, today was a bearish day. I gave you guys guidance on that. Remember, we had a head and shoulders pattern and a bear flag measure move to the downside, and the numbers I gave out in the Discord and in my guidance played out. So you guys could have made some money. We do have a gap here. All right, we have a gap right here around 501, 505 area. Okay. there. Okay, there we go. All right, we have a gap there, so I'm looking for these gaps to be filled. Will it happen? We don't know, but as of right now, we are making a higher low at the market, okay? Higher than this low, and still finding a place of demand here. Last time we found a place of demand here, we went to the upside. We do have a vacuum, a gap here around 515 and 505. Will that happen? We do not know, but only time will tell. All right, I took profits today. I secured some things, and so I'm not at the whim of the market moves. I can just prepare for tomorrow when the market opens up. All right, and that's what I have for you guys on SPY. Hope that you found this video enjoyable and valuable. And if you did, make sure to hit that like button. All right, hit the bell notification so that you can be updated on future videos that I drop that may be valuable to you. And if you want to join a thriving community, make sure you check out the link below in the description. We would love to have you. And there's also a link to my options trading book that I put out for the trading community, whether beginner, intermediate, or advanced. All right. And then guys, you guys stay safe out there. Remember to trade smart, trade safe. Always define your risk entry and exits before every trade. All right. Remember, it's about risk to reward. And this has been episode 3 of the Halftime Show, brought to you by the Unique Trading Group. And I am your coach, UV. Until the next time, guys. Peace.